Okay, so now we've talked about the print working directory command, which shows you where you are in the file system, what directory you're in, and the path all the way from root to your current folder that you're in. We've learned about the change directory command, which you can use to navigate to. If you use the change directory command and you do change directory, you could say apply an absolute path, which in this case would be like, let's say, change directory root and then let's say etc, and that's going to take me directly to the root etc folder, which is under root, right? I can type ls and see all of the files and folders that are in there, right? I'm going to type clear. Clear is another command that will just clear the screen. So I'll do that. And so now I'm back up here at the top. So another thing you can do is right now I'll do a print working directory. You can see I'm in root etc. If I want to go back to home, I could just type cd and hit enter, and automatically takes me back to home, right? Also another thing I could do, I'll do change directory again. This time I'll go to root and then into var, right? Now I'm in the var directory, which is underneath root. If I want to go back to home, I could also do cd space and then type the tilde and hit enter, and that'll also take me back to home. Watch, I'll hit print working directory. You can see I'm back at my home folder, right? Okay. Alright, I'm in my home directory right now. Let's type ls, and you'll see in my home directory, we've done the list command, which shows you what's in your home directory. You can see I've got a desktop directory, a documents directory, a downloads directory. Let's go into the desktop directory. Now what I'll do is I'll type cd space desktop, right? And I hit enter and I get this message. There's no such file or directory. Well, that's because I typed cd, the command, and I typed desktop, but I used a lowercase d when I spelled desktop, and Linux is case sensitive. So if there's a capital letter, it has to be written or typed or keyed in with a capital letter. You can't just, in a Windows system, when you put in these types of commands, Windows doesn't differentiate between capital or a lowercase, but Linux systems do. So I could need to type cd, capital D, right? And I can type DES. Another thing that's pretty nice is I can hit tab for tab completion, and it'll automatically complete the command for me because the system sees that there's only one file or directory in here that starts with DES, and so if I hit tab, it'll just automatically complete what I'm trying to do. I'll hit enter, and now I'm in my desktop folder. I'll hit ls, right? Now, we've talked about it before. If I hit cd space ... that goes up one folder in the directory. So if I do that, now I am back in my home directory, right? If I, let's see here, do cd space ... that means current directory. So I'll do that, and then I'll type pwd, and you'll see I'm still in my Dan home folder, right? My user folder, right? Nothing changed, as opposed to cd space ... which takes me up one folder, right? And now I'm in home. Okay, I'm going to type cd, and if I wanted to put in an absolute path to get to my, let's say, desktop, right? An absolute path would be root folder, home, /Dan, /D, desktop. Now that is an absolute path to my desktop folder. Now why? Because it starts with root and it has all of the directories afterwards or underneath root to get to where I want to go. And that's called an absolute path. If I want to use a relative path, I see that I'm already in home, right? I'm already in home. All I do is type change directory Dan / desktop, and that's a relative path. Why is it relative? Well, it's relative to where I am in the file system, and right now in the directory structure I'm already in home, so I don't need to tell it go to root, home, Dan desktop. All I have to do is tell it go to Dan and then desktop. So that's the difference between a relative path and an absolute path. They both have the same function. They're going to take me to my desktop folder. It's just how you decide to do it and how you're going to type it in. It's a lot quicker to use a relative path versus an absolute path. Okay, let's talk some more about the list command. Okay, I'm in my home directory. I'm going to type change directory and then there. I'm going to type change directory and tilde, and I make sure I'm in my home directory. Also, I can do a pwd, see that I'm in my home directory, and I'll type the ls command. Now, the ls command lists all the files and directories in my folder, my current folder that I'm in, which is my home folder right now, named Dan. But there's another ls command that we can use, and that is ls space, and we can pass it an argument, which would be dash l, dash lowercase l, and hit enter, and that's the list long command. And the list long command shows us some more output. It shows us, first of all, whether it is a directory, right, a folder or a file by the first initial here. If it's D, it's a directory. If it's a dash, it's a file. Then it shows us the file permissions, and the file permissions are in groups. So there is owner, and then you can see here the owner has read, write, execute, and then the group has read and execute, and then the public has read and execute. And you can see that this folder, the owner has read, write access, the group has read access, and the public has, or general users have just read-only access, right? So these are the file permissions, or the permissions on the folder. You can see that let's see here, the owner is Dan, the group is, I'm in the Dan group, right? This is the folder or file size, this is the last modified date, and this is a timestamp, right? Also, what we can do is we can pass multiple arguments. So I can do an ls space dash l, but I could also do an a for all. And if I do that, I list long, right? List long format, and I can see all of the files in the directory, including the hidden files. Now, the hidden files start with a dot in front of them. So in the Linux file system, if you have a hidden file, it gets a dot, a period in front of the file name. So you can see that there's a lot of hidden folders right here that we didn't know are there, but now you can see them. Also, you can see, and I'm wondering if I missed something here. Let's do it again. ls dash la, right? And we get the same output here. Now, did I miss any output because it's going off screen, right? So I'm wondering, did I miss anything? So what I'll do is I'll type clear, right? And I'll do ls list space dash la, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pipe it with the pipe symbol, which is the symbol, if you hold down your shift key, it's right above the backslash, right, which is above the enter key. And then I'm going to do a space, and I'll type the more command. So I'm going to list, I'm going to put in these arguments, and then I'm going to pipe it to the more command, which will help me read only one screen at a time of information. So I'll hit enter, and you can see that it has listed, in fact, all the files. The first file was the dot file, which means current directory, right? And you'll see down here at the bottom, it says more. Now, with the more command, what that means is I can use the space bar and see the next screen of output. And if I do that, the next screen of output, you see I just was missing one line here, right? So that's it. Now, there's a, I'm going to type the clear command. There is an alias or shortcut for the ls-l command, and that is ll, or list long. If you hit list long, you can see that it actually gives you the list long, and it gives you all the files, including the hidden files. So that's kind of nice. So instead of having to type ls space dash la, all you have to do is type ll, and that's an example of an alias, right?